All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Welcome to this wonderful RadhaRaman Vedic temple. We are having what is called Namahat program, the marketplace of the holy name. The holy name is free at only one price. The price is not dinero, not paisa. The price, faith. If you have faith that the name of God is God, come in, and take the wealth of what is called prema dana. Dana, wealth. Prema dana, the wealth of love of God. So, first of all, oh yes, Krishna Kumar. Oh, Ramesh Kadambi. Okay, thank you. Thank you, our temple president. So, we are hearing in between the different chanting the second chapter of Narada-bhakti-sootras. But before I begin speaking, I must thank Ved Aurora. You are my favorite chanter. Why? Two reasons. You sing with true feelings of surrender to Krishna, but even more importantly, you follow exactly how I lead. Very few people. So you right now are my number one student. Come here. You get special blessings. Krishna Kumar, you're in a different category. You are Anga. You are one of my limbs. Anga. So thank you, Ved. Whenever I am here, I will have your mic and you sing with me. I fully approve of your singing. All right, for our first excerpt of Narada-bhakti-sutra Part 2 is the verse where Narada himself defines bhakti. Because you know as well as me, there may be so many definitions of bhakti. And the way the Sanskrit language is, one particular word can take on a different meaning depending on the context. But Narada's verse defining bhakti is most authoritative because Narada Muni, like Vyasadeva, is a Shakti-avesh avatar. He is an empowered devotee. He is empowered with Bhakti Shakti, the potency to deliver the process of bhakti. So here is Narada's wonderful definition. Please repeat. Sarvo padhi vinir muktam tat padat vena nirmalam Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam Bhaktir Uchyate. So Bhaktir Uchyate. He is saying that this is what is called bhakti. First words, Sarva Upadi Manir Muktam. First thing, you have to become free from all material designations. Man, woman, American, Hindu, Democrat, Republican, these are all designations. Same thing Krishna explains in chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita. You're not that designation. You're not your body. You're not even your mind. You are Atma, spirit soul. When you identify as spirit soul, part and parcel of RadhaRaman, then you are Sarva Upadi Vinir Muktam. You are free from all designations. Why? Because a designation is something that's put on you. It's not you. It's something artificially placed on you. Just like when the policeman handcuffs a criminal, right? He's designating him. You are criminal. He takes the handcuffs off, you are a free citizen. So if you identify as eternal servant of Krishna, spiritual, you're free from designations. Next word, tat padat vena. Your sole purpose in life to be to love and serve God. Even in the Christian Bible, Lord Jesus was asked, what is the greatest commandment? Moses had gotten the 10 commandments from God. So this Roman centurion was asking Jesus, okay, tell me what is the greatest commandment? And what did Jesus said? Love God. He didn't say love him. He said love God because Jesus is servant of God. So he said love God. How? How should I love God? With your whole heart, your whole mind, your whole self. That's the first instruction. That's what Jesus said. I was raised on that commandment for the first 20 years of my life. That's how I was brought up. That the greatest commandment is love God wholeheartedly. Then love your neighbor as you would your own self. That's why we wear masks, to protect ourselves and to show respect to others. So those are the 2 commandments. We do that in Krishna consciousness. Krishna says, Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskaru. Jesus being the son of Krishna, then Krishna says, yes, you should always think of me because I am that God that Jesus is referring to. I am that God. Yes, I tell them that. I don't pull any punches. I tell them that. So Krishna says, love, always think of me, become my devotee, become my worshiper, bow down to me. So, the devotee in bhakti, the only purpose, I want to serve God. That's all. I just want to serve you. On Monday, we will hear the glories of Krishna's greatest servant, Srimati Radha Thakurani. She has that mood. She has that Gopi Bhav. What is Gopi Bhav? Gopi Bhav means I have no desire other than to please Krishna. That's it. That's the whole purpose of my existence. Next word, nirmalam, uncontaminated. Nirmala. Mala means bad or dirty, contaminated. Nir, free from, no. Just like vinir muktam earlier. So nirmalam, uncontaminated by what? Fruitive activities, mental speculation. Now comes the clinching line. Rishikena, Rishikesha Sevanam. Rishikena in Sanskrit is the instrumental case, with or by. That's the instrumental case. With something, by something. So Rishikena, the root word is Rishika Isha. So Rishika, senses. Rishikena, with or by the senses. That's the meaning of Rishikena. With or by your current bodily senses, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, throat, all of your senses, especially the mind. With those senses, Rishika Isha Sevanam. You all know that word, Sevanam. Service. Rishika Isha, the controller of the senses, RadhaRaman, Krishna. Rishikesha is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita chapter 1. That name of Krishna is there. So with your current senses, you serve the master of the senses, Lord Sri Krishna. Therefore, we loudly chant, everybody. Your microphone is very strong today, very good. So, Krishna Kumar, who should be our first singer? He doesn't want to sing. He already sang with me. What about, can I make a suggestion? He sings a very nice version of Jai Radha Madhav. No, he can use the special mic that I brought. That's your mic. Here's the mic you should use. Thank you.
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So the second chapter of the Narada-bhakti-sootras is entitled Characteristics. Narada begins. Now, the characteristics of devotional service will be described according to various authoritative opinions. Now, that's interesting. Narada himself is the authority on bhakti, because I already said previously, he is the Bhakti Shakti avatar, the empowered, but even he is going to say, well, in the opinion of authoritative personalities. So this teaches us something. He says, first of all, Srila Vyasadeva, the son of Parashara Muni, he says, bhakti is fond attachment for worshiping the Lord in various ways, such as the 9 ways: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanavedanam. So Vyasadeva says, what is bhakti? Fond attachment for worshiping the Lord. Gargamuni, you all know who is Gargamuni. He is the great rishi who did the name giving ceremony for Krishna and Balaram. And on Monday, we're going to also hear from Gargamuni, because he has some interesting anecdotes about Radhika, such as her birth, how she first met Krishna, and the pièce de résistance, the marriage of Radha and Krishna. So you gotta come Monday, 10:30. Yes? Yes. So you don't want to miss Monday, because this will be the first and only time I tell these pastimes. It is very confidential. So Gargamuni knows a thing or two. He says bhakti is fondness for narrations about the Lord. So that's his opinion. What is bhakti? You like to hear about Krishna. The great sage Shandilya says, bhakti results from removing all obstructions to taking pleasure in the Supreme Self. The Supreme Self, RadhaRaman. So when you have bhakti, you take out all obstructions so that you can simply take pleasure in RadhaRaman. Like you're doing now. You could be doing so many things this Saturday evening, but you have come to hear Krishna Katha. So you are performing bhakti. Now Narada says, however, some say that bhakti consists of offering every act to the Supreme Lord. That makes sense. We see that in Bhagavad Gita. And feeling extreme distress in forgetting the Supreme Lord. Just like the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, Avyarta Kalatvam. They were very concerned not to waste a moment of time. They always wanted to be engaged in one of the 9 items of bhakti. And they were actually in anxiety if a moment was wasted, not engaged in Krishna bhakti. Narada concludes, in fact, all these descriptions correctly describe bhakti. So Narada says, yes, everything that was just said by these authorities, I approve of. Everybody chant the Maha Mantra one time. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're hearing the 2nd chapter of Narada-bhakti-sootras. This is the next part. The chapter was entitled The Characteristics. So Narada's writings continue. He says now, the cowherder women of Raja are an example of pure bhakti. So by using that word pure bhakti, immediately the question is raised, what is impure bhakti? That was already alluded to when Narada said that in real bhakti, there is no fruitive intention and there is no mental speculation. Fruitive intention means I will do bhakti, but I want something in return, material. And mental speculation means I'm doing bhakti, but my real intention is to become one with the Lord. So those are called impure. So you all know, because you have heard hundreds of times about the gopis' love for Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya himself said, there is no better method of worshiping Krishna than that was conceived by the gopis. So if you really want to understand pure bhakti, then you can study those portions of the Srimad Bhagavatam dealing with the gopis, or you could read the life and teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Or you could read Rupa Goswami's great work, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which Prabhupada summarized as Nectar of Devotion. Here are three major works which will give you a very clear understanding the difference between pure bhakti and impure bhakti. Prabhupada sometimes would say, you all know in India the difference between pure ghee and dalda, right? When I first went to India in 1975, the devotees taught me this word, dalda. I never heard such a thing. And Prabhupada refers to it sometimes. That Shuddh ghee, pure ghee. Many of you make that in your home. My wife also makes on a regular basis. And that's different from dalda. Even in the case of the gopis, one cannot criticize them for forgetting the Lord's greatness. Now, what the syntax is, in order for the gopis to do the rasa dance, play tricks on Krishna, and have so many different pastimes, they have to overcome the consciousness that Krishna is Bhagavan. The famous example, Krishna, in the midst of one of their rasa leelas, he wanted to hide himself from the gopis. So he hid himself in some bushes. So the gopis, like a flank of soldiers, went looking, where is Krishna? There he is! He's in those bushes. Krishna immediately turned himself into Narayana. Not difficult for Krishna, because when Krishna comes, all the avatars are in the body of Krishna. He can manifest any form at any time. So immediately he manifested a Narayan form. What did the gopis do? Om Namo Narayanaya. They bowed down. There's God. But then they said, Narayan, where's Krishna? They were not really thinking about Narayan. They still wanted Krishna. So they overcame the majesty of God in order to experience intimate pastimes. The same pastime, when Radha came, the two extra arms melted away. Krishna could not pretend in front of Radharani. What does that tell us? She is the topmost gopi, and she is more powerful than Krishna, because Krishna could not hide behind the 2 extra arms. In front of Radharani, he had to reveal himself. So in order for Radha and the gopis to enjoy their Rasa Leela and other intimate pastimes, the sense of the majesty and godness of God has to become diminished. And that is where Yoga Maya takes place. Yoga Maya is spiritual illusion, which Krishna, the gopis, and Radha enter this state of Yoga Maya, or forgetfulness of the greatness and majesty of God, and relate to him like boyfriend and girlfriend, or in the case of Yashoda, how can Yashoda show a stick to Krishna if she thinks this is Narayan? She can't do that. But because she's in Yoga Maya, she thinks, this is not Narayan, this is my son Krishna. And he's naughty. Then I have to punish him. So she's in a spiritual illusion. Yoga Maya. The Yoga Maya potency is expansion of Srimati Radharani. Yoga Maya is on our altar as Subhadra. She is also Yoga Maya. Then the question comes, how come she married Arjuna? That's another lecture. Not tonight. Because that would take 20, 30 minutes to explain. Because then they'll understand Arjuna from a whole different perspective. Arjuna can marry Subhadra? Yes. Not Duryodhana. No. Impossible. That could never happen. Even though Balaram wanted it. And there was something between Krishna and Balaram. Krishna had to bow down and touch Balaram's feet. Forgive Arjuna. He stole Subhadra, but you forgive him. When Balaram saw that Subhadra was very happy being kidnapped by Arjuna, Balaram said, okay, sorry Duryodhana, you're a loser. You didn't get Draupadi, you didn't get Subhadra, and you also died on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Duryodhana, Haribol. On the other hand, displays of devotion without knowledge of God's greatness are no better than affairs of illicit lovers. So this is for our platform. We're not on the Gopi Baba platform. And if we try to pretend that we are, we will make big offenses. We have to always be conscious. We are on the neophyte platform. We are still on the materialistic platform. We are going to strive to get to the stage of pure bhakti. But you can't artificially assume that I'm on that platform and that I can deal with Krishna intimately. Which is why Prabhupada instructed us, even though it's Radha Krishna deities, you worship them as not Lakshmi Narayan. We don't do intimate worship. Yes, it's Radha Krishna, don't misunderstand. It's Radha and Krishna, but we're worshiping them as if they were in their forms of Lakshmi Narayan or Rukmini Dwarakadish or Sita Ram. Worship of Sita Ram is also on that platform of, it's called the Vaikuntha platform. Worship of God in awe, reverence, veneration. The pujaris can't go up and deal with the deities intimately. That's not their position. Notice how the arti, the back is straight, the bell is rung, various articles are offered, simulating the worship of a king or a great personality. Incense, a diya, flower, abhishek, the handkerchief, flower, fanning. This is all regal worship. And the attitude is one of very strict awe and veneration. For in such false devotion, one does not find pleasure exclusively in the Lord's happiness. So that's the symptom. When you're on this pure bhakti, you're only thought how to please Krishna. That is the platform of pure bhakti. There's no self-consideration. The only consideration is, I am the Lord's humble servant. Whatever the Lord wants, I am prepared to do. Just like when we did the installation of Jagannath, Balaram, and Subhadra, we had Prataparudra sweeping the road. That is very significant. Prataparudra had wanted a personal audience with Lord Chaitanya. But Lord Chaitanya, as strict sannyasi, was saying, no, I'm not going to see this king. And all of his associates were saying, but he's your great devotee. You've delivered even Jagai and Madai, and you're not going to get, no. And if you bring this up one more time, I'm leaving. So all the devotees became afraid. But because on Rath Yatra Day, the king gave up his royal position and became the street sweeper for Jagannath, Lord Chaitanya blessed him 3 times that day. 3 times. One time, the king and hardly anybody else saw that Lord Chaitanya was dancing in all 7 Sankirtan parties. He could see it, that in each of the 7 parties, oh my God, Lord Chaitanya is there. He's there. Because those parties were all around, front and behind. 7 kirtan parties surrounding the carts. Prataparudra could see that, not everybody. That was the first installment. Second installment, the Rath Yatra is going on. Lord Chaitanya is in ecstasy, chanting verses to Jagannath. He's in the mood of Radharani. There's kirtan and millions of people. Lord Chaitanya faints. Nobody sees it. And where does he faint? Right in front of King Prataparudra. Prataparudra takes this, nobody's coming to... Prataparudra picks up Lord Chaitanya. Second, who would like to pick up Lord Chaitanya? And then immediately when he was touched by Prataparudra, Lord Chaitanya had to show externally, I've been touched by a king, I'm contaminated. But he had to do that to teach his disciples. Inwardly, he did it on purpose. He wanted to give Prataparudra that mercy. Then the third blessing was arranged with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Sarvabhauma told the king, okay, at a certain point in the Rath Yatra, Lord Chaitanya is going to be exhausted from ecstasy, and he will lie down in one arena. And at that time, all the offerings will be made to Jagannath on the cart. So everybody was allowed to bring their cooked food and offer to, because Jagannath is so merciful. It is so auspicious that we have Jagannath. So auspicious because he's so merciful. So Sarvabhauma told Prataparudra, When Lord Chaitanya is lying down in that garden, I think it's called Jagannath Vallabha Gardens, you come, but don't dress like the king. You dress like simple Vaishnava, like this Prabhu here. Simple, humble Vaishnava. Forget that you're king. Dress like this, simple, humble. And you massage Gauranga's body. And he will be in such ecstasy. You chant Gopi Gita, that chapter from Bhagavatam. So Prataparudra was the king of Orisha. He did exactly as Sarvabhauma said. And halfway through the Gopi Gita, he chanted one verse. Tava katamritam tapta jivanam. When he recited that verse, Lord Chaitanya got up, because he was been lying down, and he was massaging. He embraced Prataparudra, the very person he refused to see when his associates begged him time and time again. Now he embraced